Hi everyone, it's Sue and welcome to my channel today. Today I'm going to do my design team project for Scrapbooking and Craft, and the links will be down below in the description box. Now the things that Melinda has sent us today are these here. So you could take them as windows or doors. I'm taking the one as a door and the smaller one as a window. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a canvas today. I don't normally do canvases, but I thought I'd challenge myself a little. So I have this Montmartre canvas panel, and it's an 8" by 10" or 20.3 by 25.4 centimetre canvas, and it's quite thin. It's one of the board panels rather than the actual one with the wooden frame. So my first step is I'm simply going to gesso the back. It is probably gessoed or primed, but I am going to give it a little bit more of a coat of gesso. Okay, it's all dry now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a base coat of an antique white, and this is going to form the base for my brickwork that I'm going to put on here. What I'm thinking of doing is using this one as the door and this one as the window here. And I'm thinking around that there's going to be some brickwork, but behind or underneath the brickwork we're going to have a base of I've got antique white. I was thinking a creamy colour, so what I've grabbed, I've got the Scrapbookingncraft antique white. I also have this Semco antique white as well. I've popped a little bit on my gel plate as my palette. They're very similar. I'm going to go with the Scrapbookingncraft just because it's a little bit more it's got a little bit more of a pinky tone to it. So I thought I would use that one just to do the base of the whole canvas. And I will of course speed this up. My next step is I'm going to gesso the little window and door, and then I'm going to give it a coat of Sedona, which is a Dina Wakley paint. I just thought that the sort of the burnt red colour would look nice for a door, so I'm just going to give them a coat of gesso, and then I will dry them and give them a coat of the Sedona, and I will be back when I've done that. Okay, I have made sure everything's dry. I have finished painting the door and the window, and as I said, they were in the Sedona by Dina Wakley. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out the position that I'm going to have these. So I'm just going to very gently pop them on. I think they're dry, but you never know. I did it with the the heat gun, so sometimes it doesn't quite dry as well as I'd like. Okay, now I'm just going to very gently mark out the position, just the top and the bottom, so that I know where not to put the texture paste, which I'm going to use for the bricks. Okay, you might not be able to see that, but there's some very faint lines there, there and there. Okay. Okay, what I've got out is this Tim Holtz stencil, and it's the brickwork. It's got the bricks on it, but there's plenty of different brands of brickwork. I've also grabbed out some structure paste, which you can use texture paste. I like this one because it dries a lot quicker, that's all. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to make a brown colour. I don't actually have a brown per se. I've got the raw umber and raw sienna. These are pretty old, so I'm not sure how they're going to go. So I'm just going to have a bit of a play and try and mix up some, what I'm after is kind of a brick, a reddy brown brick colour. So I've still got out the Sedona, so I may actually add that as well. I'm not sure. I don't want a huge amount, so I'm just thinking maybe that much will do for the moment. And I'm just going to attempt to mix the paint in with it, whoops, to get the colour that I want. The plan is just a light reddy brown colour brick, and I'm not going to put brick all over it. There's only going to be it in parts, so we'll see how I go with that. Okay, so that's just the mocha. Looks quite yummy actually. Is that wrong that I think that looks yummy? Okay, alright. Okay, that's not a bad brown, but I might just give it a little bit of the Sedona. Just a little. See how that goes. Okay, that didn't make much of a dent, so we might add a little bit more. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of brown paints. It's not a colour that I like particularly, so I don't buy it. This looks like some sort of icing off a cupcake right now, which kind of seems very appealing. Okay, so that, not quite what I'm after, so a bit more. Okay, I think we might consider that colour as done. Okay, now, alright, let's have a look. What I'm thinking, and I might just pull you down a little bit. There we go. Now, those there are where the windows and that are going, so I'm thinking a little bit on the side here. What I do need is another palette knife or something. Don't have anything handy, so I'll use that to scrape some of that off a little bit. Okay. Alrighty, let's see how we go with this. Now, how many do I need? I don't want too much. Okay. Right, let's hope that worked. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, now I need some more in a few other places, so I'm thinking a little bit in this top corner. Oops, there's a bit of a chunky bit there. Trick is not to let this dry. As I said, it does dry fairly quickly, so you do have to work fairly quickly. Now I'm just thinking I really want to get rid of this and this little bit here if I can. May need to do some touching up, I think. Okay, so I'm thinking a nice patch in the middle here would be good. Okay. Alright, now I'll just clean this bit up here. Doesn't matter too much because I can blend that in. Okay, so let's have a look. A bit more down here now, I think. Might put quite a big chunk in this corner. Okay, now that's a bit square there, so I'd like to just add a little bit to that. Let's see how we can do this. This could be very challenging. Okay, that probably wrecked that bit. So we'll just see if we can fix that. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'd like to get it as best as I can. Okay. Alright, now let's just clean some more of this up. Okay, now just get rid of this before I put my hand in it. Okay, what I might do, I might pop a little bit here, just a tiny bit on the corner there. See, unfortunately, well, after you've used the stencil a couple of times, it starts to get a bit dirty and it's hard to keep it from making marks on everything. Okay, know where to put it now. Alright, now what I will do is I'm going to have a little bit of a play to see if I can clean it up a little bit and then dry it, clean up this mess, and I will be back. Right, I've cut out the piece that sits around the door and some bottom bits which are going to be steps. I'm going to gesso them and then I will paint them. I haven't quite decided what colour yet. I'm thinking probably, I'm thinking actually I might go with the cream. I'm not sure. Maybe cream, maybe the mocha actually. I'm not sure. Once it's dry, I'll have a think about it and decide then what colour it's going to be. So I'll be back once I have gessoed these and I've worked out what colour I'm going to use. Okay, what I've decided, I'm going to use the antique white, but I'm going to darken it a little bit with the mocha colour, just so that there's a bit of a contrast between the back of the wall that it's leaning against, or it's against. Oops, that was more than I wanted. And, well, a contrast between the two. So I'm thinking I've probably just added too much. Yeah, I think I have. So we'll have to add a bit more white, the antique white. Okay, that's more the colour I was thinking. So we'll just quickly give this a coat, or two. It might actually require two. And once it's dry, I will come back again. Okay, to make them look a little bit more aged, I've grabbed out the raw umber. Now this is very dry. It's I think it's almost dried up actually, but what I think I might be able to do is get a little bit out, enough to use just to do some dry brushing with it. So I'm just looking if I've got anything. Here we go. No, that's not going to work. Just want to squeeze a little bit out. Nope, not going to get it out. Okay, so I just want some to dry brush around the edges, just to give it a bit more of an aged sort of a look or feel. Sort of give it a little bit of a dirty look too, I suppose, so it doesn't look so pristine, because garden steps don't usually look perfect, or steps into your house, unless of course you've just cleaned them or you're particularly pedantic about it. Okay, so that's not too bad. Let's see if I can do the same here. Now if this was paper, obviously I would be doing it with distress ink, but I'd want to make sure that what I'm using is going to dry, because I'm hoping to do some work on it once it's sort of onto the actual canvas. Not quite sure yet what. I'm thinking possibly some sort of the colour burst sort of powders, or the Lindy's powder, something like that, just to add an extra sort of bit of oomph to it, I suppose. Just maybe make it look a bit more aged or something. I'm not sure. This is sort of a semi-planned project. In my head I kind of know what I want, but it's pretty much just me trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Okay, I like that. That kind of gives it a bit more of an aged look. Now if I can sort of give this bit here. Okay, I'm thinking that's not too bad. So that's what that looks like there. I think it needs something up onto there, but I'm not sure what yet. Okay, I might just give the door a little bit of a working on as well. I was actually thinking of dry brushing some gesso on the door to give it that peeled paint sort of a look. Whoops, that was way too much. I didn't want that much. Let's just scrub. So we'll see how I go with that as well. Sort of want the door to look a bit not perfect, I guess is the thing, because things are rarely perfect. And we'll just do the window as well. Okay, sort of grunged it up a little bit. Oops, okay. Now I need some gesso, and I'm going to do some white on it. So I'll just get another brush. Okay, now the brush has still got a little bit left from before because I didn't clean it. So I'm just going to see how I go, just rubbing or wiping just a little bit over it. Okay, now I'm just going to give it a bit more of just a very quick, so there's not too much. Okay. It's a bit hard to probably see, but there we go. So yeah, it's just got a little bit on there just to make it look a bit older. Okay, so that's what I'm hoping that will do. Alright, now we've got to let those totally dry now. So I will be back when they're totally dry. Alright, my next step is the doors. Obviously I don't want the back colouring of the walls to be showing through the doors and the window. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to trace the area that the door and the window takes up, and I'm going to paint the background of that. What I've done is I've chosen the Dina Wakley, what is it, Lapis, which is the dark sort of blue, and I've got the umber, which I will just slightly darken the lapis. I was hoping I had a darker blue, but I don't have one, so that will have to do. So I'm just tracing the door areas so I know where to paint, and I'm going to trace the window area as well. Okay. Alright, so I need to make up a mixture. So some blue and a little bit of the umber. Hopefully this will make just a darker sort of a darker blue that looks like you would see behind a dark window. Okay, hopefully that's dark enough. I think it will be. Alright, just clean that off. Okay, and I'm just going to fill in this area with that paint. And once I've done that, I will be back. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I need to make it look more aged. I was going to try to use some of the Lindy's powder things, but I don't really have one that's quite what I want. If I use distress inks or distress oxides, they're water soluble, so if I add anything else, it's going to go everywhere. So what I was thinking, I'm going to glue these down, and I'm going to use my craft glue. And then what I think I might do is use my burnt umber and try and age this. Put like a darker border around everything. The other thing I could try, if that doesn't work very well, is use the Stabilo oil to do, especially around the windows and the door. But I'll see how I go with the umber paint. Okay, so I need one of my craft glues. There's the one that's open. And I'll glue these down. And then we'll see how we go with the rest of it. It always worries me doing these last few things, because you've spent so much time on something, and then that final step, you know, it's whether it goes well or not. Now this glue is not coming out, so we might just open another one. Oh, another one's open. Okay. Problem with this glue is if you don't use it quickly, it does tend to get too thick. But I'm not sure if the art glitter glue or the well, I know a glue stick wouldn't work, so okay, we'll try that. And I do want it so that it's not going to react with the water as well. I've got it everywhere. Okay. Now I do need to go around those windows. I'm not sure if you can see it, but you can see a bit of the blue peeking out, so I definitely need to go around those windows. It was a little bit too wide, I think, when I did the paint, but these things happen. It's got some strings of glue on it, kind of looks like cobwebs, which could add to the effect. Okay. As I mentioned at the start of the video, the chipboard pieces, the window and the door, they were part of a set from Scrapbooking and Crafts, and so they were part of this set here. Now Melinda does do quite a few different chipboard pieces. She also does stencils as well. There is also some napkins on her site that her daughter organises. So pop along to the website, which the link will be below. Have a look what she's got. There are lots of chipboard pieces, absolutely lots of them. Very reasonable prices too. So if you're interested, pop along, have a look. Have a look at the other products she's got. She also has the foam stampies, which I absolutely love. They're a foam piece with some like a pattern obviously in them, and you can use them as a stamp. Great with paint, great with ink. I really like those. I've got quite a few of those. Use them particularly on my gel plate a lot too. Okay, all right. Now, let's see if I can make this look a little bit more aged, and then there'll be a couple of final little details that I'll pop on as well, but I might do that probably tomorrow for me, because I think I'd like to let this totally dry before I do anything else. Alright, so what I've done is I've got a blob of paint, some water, and I've just caught the edge of the paint on the brush, and I'm going to attempt to just sort of brush it down the side. Sort of try to give it an aged look if I can. Probably a thinner brush might have been more useful at this point, but I've got so many brushes in the laundry at the moment. Okay, and I'm going to do the same along the window here. Probably not that easy to see on the camera. And I don't want to do it too dark initially. Water. And I'm also going to go sort of in between those bricks as well. So I will keep going with this. I will leave the video on and speed it up as I'm sort of going for a little while. If it's going to take too long, what I might do is end up cutting the video again because, well, it just takes too long. Okay, I'm going to leave it there and let it totally dry. I think it's sort of grunged it and aged it enough. And when I come back, I'll put a few little bits and pieces, maybe a door, something on it for a door knocker, maybe a number, maybe something here if I can find something, maybe some flowers, something like that. And I will look at finding a sentiment as well to go on it as well. But I think for the moment I'll let that dry and I'll come back later and add the finishing touches. Okay, I've let it all dry overnight and I've collected some bits and pieces to finish it off. Now I decided not to go with a sentiment because I'm going to actually have it on display. So rather than make it more of a like a journal, art journal page or something with a sentiment, I thought I'd just make it as an art piece. So what I've done, firstly, I've made this out of chipboard, just like I did the this frame area, and it's supposed to be a planter box. So I'm thinking that's going to be sitting there. I've got this button. It's just a button. It's one of those that had the shank, and I've taken the shank off. So that's going to go there as sort of a decorative piece. It's not as flat as I could get it, but it should be okay, I think. I have grabbed one of these numbers. Now I'm pretty sure they're an Artie Mae's, possibly a freebie, but it's definitely on her website or in her Etsy store. And I have embossed it, clear embossed it, no, not embossed, what's that stuff called? Yeah, the embossing powder to give it a bit of a shine and make it look a bit thicker. So that's going to go there as the number for the house. I've collected some little bits and pieces of flowers. I've got a couple of ones on stems, and I've got some of these little white ones that you can pick up pretty much anywhere in any place. Now I've also got some of these little stem ones. Unfortunately don't have a lot of variety at the moment because we're in lockdown. All our stores are closed. So excuse me, it was a little challenging to pick these up. So alright, so I'm just going to glue all of it down with my craft glue, and then I'm going to call it finished. So just put some craft glue on that. Now let me see these stems. I don't want them too long. Unfortunately what I really wanted was some of that green, what do you call it? It's like a trim, but it's a vine. It looks like green leaves, but couldn't get hold of any of that. There's only sort of one place really that I can do any shopping of craft stuff. And they're really only open because technically they are selling food. So any store that sells food is allowed to open because food being essential. craft stuff isn't considered essential, unfortunately. So yeah, they are allowed to open simply because they have food items. So I managed to get a couple of things, but as I said, selection wasn't that great. Now hopefully that'll glue. It doesn't seem to want to glue. Might have to put a little bit more. Maybe I'll see how it goes. Okay, so I just thought I would sort of work these through the planter box. If I can get them out. I might just glue the other bits down while I'm here. Oh, it's very stringy today. Okay, and the number. Okay, let's have a look. I'm not too fussed about stems on everything, but some of them will have the stem, some won't. Could possibly use my hot glue gun for this, but I can't be bothered getting it out, to be honest. Hopefully the flowers aren't too big in comparison to the door, but oh well. Artistic license. Probably shouldn't be cutting the wire with my normal scissors either, but oh well. Okay, I've stuck all those down. They're still a bit wet, but that's my finished project. So I will pop some photographs in the end as well. Okay, thank you very much for joining me. And remember, the window and the door were available from Scrapbooking and Craft, as is many other chipboard pieces, napkins, stencils. So pop along, have a look. She has Melinda has a really good selection of bits and pieces at very reasonable prices. If you're overseas, I'm sure if you contact her, she will talk to you about the postage prices, and she does actually give you back a refund too if the postage is over what she actually needs to spend. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you again for another video soon. Bye for now.